Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Ellen. Good morning, my beloved. Good morning and welcome to First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. It is Sunday, January 22nd of 2023, and I am Reverend Dr. Kate R. Walker, and I am truly honored, delighted to serve as the minister of this beloved community. And for those with visual disability, I am a 59-year-old white female with light brown hair and a bob cut. I wear glasses, and I'm wearing a black clergy robe with a stole. And even though you can't see it, but I particularly, this stole was chosen because it has a dragon on it. And we're going to be talking about courage today, and this is my reminder to have courage. So, you are all welcome here. I'm absolutely delighted to have you all here, and if you are watching out there in YouTube land, thank you for choosing and clicking on us. Whether you are fully dressed for church or in your pajamas with your coffee or tea, you are welcome here. Perhaps you're watching at some point in the future. We're delighted that you are spending time with us. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are growing together, we are learning, and we are loved. Just as you are welcome here. We are working for justice wherever the heavy weight of oppression has woven into the fabric of life. If this is your very first time with us and you're on YouTube, I invite you to check us out on our website. Just Google First Unitarian Pittsburgh. It'll pop up. And there at the bottom of the website is a form saying, join us in our newsletter. Just fill that out. You'll find out all the activities that are happening. And we also want to get to know you. Send us an email. Let us know you're out there. And if you're here in person and it's your first time, we have a welcome table in the courtyard right through those doors. I'd be glad to feel connected with you and you with us. And if you, there is a social hour following the service downstairs beneath, just down the stairs here, for those who want to engage in conversation. And online, there is a dedicated group on on Zoom. If you would like a link for that, just send an email to First Unitarian Pittsburgh. It's all one word, firstunitarianpittsburgh@gmail.com, and you will get an auto response with the Zoom link. I am, of course, live here in this beautiful sanctuary with a dedicated group of staff and volunteers, and on behalf of all of us, thank you. Thank you for choosing to be with us. I do have two announcements this morning. There is a meeting following worship, so if you want to, actually there's two meetings following worship, but if you want to socialize with each other, please do, or you also have the choice to grab some food and join in the Schweitzer room following service. Is an upbeat on membership and growth from myself, with an update on kind of what's going on around our desire to expand the beauty and the message of Unitarian Universalism. And that's kind of an update from a Zoom meeting that we had back in September. And myself and Kyle Gracie will be presenting that on behalf of the board. And also, if you are a visitor and interested in Unitarian Universalism, there is a meeting for kind of an intro class led by our own Erica Shadowsong, and that'll be down in the Priestley room, which is down at the end of the hallway. Just ask somebody at the visitor's desk where that room is, and we can give you a little introduction. I also want to just give an alert about today's topic. As this sermon started to unfold from my heart, and I was dedicated to talking about civility, or the decreasing civility in our country, what really came out was a desire to talk about the overabundance of guns in our country. And I want to give a fair warning to those who has a sensitivity to gun violence, whether you're on YouTube or here and present. And if you feel like you need to step away during my sermon, I totally understand and want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. But I wanted to give just a warning, a kind of an alert about that. And that being said, I do want to thank Beth Foringer from Ceasefire PA. There she is back there. Beth is from, again, Ceasefire PA. I invited her to be here. Thank you very much. And she will be at a table. I hope you found it out in the front if you want to have a conversation with her after the service. And I also want to thank Arlene Wolk. I don't know how many of you know Arlene Wolk. She is a member of the Tree of Life Synagogue. And she told me she is watching on YouTube this morning. And she is an extraordinary survivor of that horrific shooting. And she reached out to me and several other religious leaders asking us point blank, what are you doing about reducing gun violence? And her courage inspired me to get back into this pulpit, this important topic, and her invitation, gentle and persistent. I suspect she's talking to anybody she meets on the street throughout our community. So that being said, I invite you to take a deep breath. Arrive in body and spirit. Arrive in this time and place. We are here gathered in community. You're gathered as beloved, learning to trust and strengthen our relationships with one another. We turn to our chalice lighting, the symbol of our faith. May this flame serve as a source of courage, as a source of resistance in a world that needs our courage again and again, to offer our voice, to offer our compassion, to offer our strength, to offer our belief that all are sacred and worthy. Welcome. Welcome all. I invite you to stand as you are able, in body and spirit, for our opening hymn, 1028, Fire of Commitment.
we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, respect the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions, the accountability, dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions.
Hello? There we are. Anger! Woo! A handful of you know this about me, that I am pagan, and one of my favorite goddesses is a goddess of wrath. She destroyed the world because she was so angry at something that happened. This is Sekhmet, the lion-headed Egyptian goddess. And I like her so much because of justice. You know, there's this anger to use toward justice, but I've been so discouraged over the years because my anger does nothing and bad things happen and I don't know what to do with that. And I start to feel sick inside. And I say to her, what's the point of having all this wrath? And I had a realization somewhere around the last year, an image in my mind of a nuclear bomb. And I realized that anger is like that kind of a weapon. It's not that it's wrong, but it's so powerful that a little bit can destroy a lot indiscriminately. And it's also like poison. You can become poisoned with it. And so that helped me feel a little better about anger. Not that it's wrong, but understanding and appreciating it is very, very powerful and very, very easy to use indiscriminately to hurt people you don't mean to hurt. So the story that I have today is called A Little Spot of Anger, and it's not so much a story as a lesson by Diane Abler. And the story goes like this. There were a couple of siblings, and by the way, I'm going to need your help to tell the story a little bit. There are two siblings, a boy and a girl, that were fighting. What do you think they were fighting about? What is something siblings fight about? Yeah. Back there. Say that louder. Who gets the TV first? That's a good one. Yes, so they were arguing about who got the TV first. Oh, there's another one. Yeah. Who wants to play with the toys? Thank you. That's a good one. So they were fighting, and all of a sudden, they saw this little green spot with a smiley face. And they looked at each other and said, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" "Yeah, I see it." "What are you?" And the little green spot said, "I am a spot of peacefulness, and I am here to help you figure out how to deal with your red spot of anger." See, we have all these different emotions: anger, fear, worry, peacefulness, happiness. And there's nothing wrong with these emotions. They're like little spots of different colors. But sometimes they can get too big. Anger especially can get really, really big and turn into a huge spot so that all you can see is red. And so I'm here to help you get your red spot to come back down small again so that you can think. And I said, well, how do you do that? Well, here's a good tool. I want you to hold up your hand, and you guys can do this. And I want you to imagine that your 4 fingers have a green spot on them. They're green. But your thumb has a red spot okay? And so there's a rhyme that goes like this. Count your spots from 1 to 4, tap, 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 and tap once more. Fill your lungs with peaceful air and count your spots with love and care. Okay, repeat after me. Count your spots from 1 to 4. Tap, 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 and tap once more. Fill your lungs with peaceful air and count your spots with love and care. All right, let's see if you can do it without me. Count your 1. Peaceful air and count your spots with. You got it. Good. And what I'm hoping is this is going to get stuck in your head like it did for me. So when some of you get into a parking lot and somebody stole your space, you're going to think, dang it, Erica, that stupid rhyme is in my head. And you're going to be doing the counting. All right, one more time. Do this with me, please. Count your spots from 1 to 4. Tap, 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 and tap once more. Fill your lungs with peaceful air and count your spots with love and care. Good. All right. I think we're about ready. So let's go ahead and we're going to sing a song. Is it the one in here? Okay, the words are in your order of service. We're going to sing for our children, and and the children and youth are going to go to our classes. Thank you so much.
As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return. As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return.
Month, we share our generosity with a designated organization. This month, it is Habitat for Humanity. All donations are shared 50-50 with this organization unless otherwise designated. Our religious community is made up of volunteers and staff creating and hosting a variety of programming. We rely on your financial support. In addition to the collection plate, you can donate by texting GIVE to 412-435-1050 and following direction. Please see the order of service for additional options.
In this piece of music I'm about to play, you will hear sounds you've never heard coming out of a flute before. It's a warning. These are called extended techniques. Today I will be playing wind tones, tongue pizzicato, key clicks, harmonics, or some of you know them as overtones, and in some passages I will attempt to play and sing at the same time. In her notes, Leanna Keith says about her piece, "Do not try to get a clean sound. The struggle is the point." This piece is for anyone who has struggled to find home for themselves.
May I begin with our first joy. Maddie Ezo, thank you. Yeah. We do have some joys. I know you all have joys in your life. Nancy Latimer was very delighted to share that her granddaughter, Cece Clark, turned one, or will be on the 27th. On the 27th, she's turning one as a smiley, happy, giggly, busy little girl, providing a lot of joy for her Grammy Nancy and Papa Steve. These are the kind of joys we should be looking for, my beloved. Those birthdays and those giggles, and at all ends of the spectrum. Mary Widener asked you to keep her sister Jenna in your thoughts and prayers. Doctors have been running many tests as she endures a lot of painful symptoms as they try and figure out what's going on. Amy Dikiki's asked for her prayers for her brother and sister-in-law as they are both facing serious health problems. And I ask for all of our love and prayers with Jane and Richard Williams, their grandson Gabriel. As many of you have met Gabriel, their daughter Jane, Gabriel's mother, died on Friday. Her name is Kristen, and it was from cancer. And so all of our prayers with that whole family, particularly young Gabriel. And a private memorial service is being held tomorrow. I know that all of you have more sorrows, as well as those joys. And please remember that none of us walk on this journey alone. And for all of those of you in YouTube, please, I hope you feel connected. Please join me for a few moments of personal prayer and meditation and silence. Spirit of love, fill our hearts. Ooh, please guide us in soothing our wounds when we break open and feel the pain of living in this world. Spirit of the holy, lift up our hearts. Help us heal. Help remind us that we are precious, and all of our family and our friends and everyone in this city and country and this planet are precious. Spirit of life, give us the energy to awake each day. Awake to the love, awake to the compassion and the capacity for justice. Awake us to our capacity to work for justice, to unravel the many threads of oppression that are weaving their way into the fabric of life. Give us the courage and the guidance when we feel lost and overwhelmed. We hold in our hearts all those who are experiencing the impact of gun violence in this planet, in this country, and in this city. We hold in our hearts all of those in Monterey Park, California, as we were greeted with the news of another mass shooting. We hold in our hearts the people of this city and all those who are felt alone and lost, who are feeling lost, all those impacted who may not have their names in the newspaper, who may be forgotten. Let our hearts expand again and again, and rest when we need to, and sing out loud when we're able. May the Spirit of justice be with us, and the God of the holy by the many names throughout the ages that has answered our call and our greatest need. Blessed be, and amen. I invite you to stay seated as we sing 1023, Building Bridges.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, with all of our voices such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
When I Change by Ma Teresa Tet Gustillo Gallardo. We are here to derive meaning in our actions. When I change, the world changes. We are here to win our power back over our areas of powerlessness. When I change, the world changes. We are here to deepen our understanding of ourselves in order to strengthen self-discipline. When I change, the world changes. We are here to abolish prejudice with an appreciation for our diversity and differences. When I change, the world changes. We are here to feel our personal power and our capacity to affect the lives of other people. When I change, the world changes. We are here to become teachers to each other. When I change, the world changes. We are here to spend time away from the usual influences and relearn reality. When I change, the world changes. When God gives me the desire, I am also given the power and means to achieve my goals. When I change, the world changes. I am here to see that my singular life is a gateway to countless possibilities. When I change, the world changes.
It was June 14th of 2017. I was living in Alexandria, Virginia. It was about 7 in the morning. It was a beautiful blue sky kind of day. Absolutely gorgeous. I was running a few minutes late because I had to walk the dogs. Usually my husband has that task, but he needed to sleep in that morning because he had a late night drive back from his mom's house the night before. After I walked the dogs, I jumped on my bike and I headed down to the YMCA for my morning workout. As I neared the Y, I saw someone moving quickly toward me on the street who flagged me down and told me, "Don't go there, turn around, there's been a shooting." I could feel the adrenaline flying even as I do right now. Had I not been late, on my usual timing, I would have been locking up my bike in front of the YMCA when the bullets started to fly. There was a gunman in the baseball field a few feet away, a gunman that was aiming for the Republicans at a congressional baseball practice. You may remember this story. There's so many. 6 were shot that day. It was a miracle that no one was killed, but two were critically injured. The shooter, whose name I'm intentionally not giving and not offering, was killed in a 10-minute shootout with the Capitol Police and the city police. There were bullet holes in the front of the YMCA with the bike rack between the front of that building and the baseball field. I had walked into that YMCA numerous times over the previous 6 weeks, and I had walked past that shooter who had been hanging out in the lounge for 6 weeks, watching the baseball field, staking it out, they thought, through the big picture windows, waiting for his moment. I had seen him, but as had many other members and the staff, but nobody had seen anything out of the ordinary at all. Even now, almost 6 years later, I'm still unpacking that experience, that too close for anyone's comfort moment. I try not to play the what if game, but it's hard when it's that close. In my previous congregation, I had spent many, many hours with members working on reducing gun violence. It was a congregational focus for them. Preaching, we all were learning and educating one another. We were lobbying in Richmond, Virginia. We were hitting the halls of Congress in DC. I was speaking at public rallies. I was engaging, all of us were engaging in letter campaigns to businesses in Alexandria, asking them to ban guns on their property. Mount Vernon, the church that I served, had banned guns from its property, proudly putting a sign on down at the bottom of their driveway. And trust me, Virginia is as proud of a gun-owning commonwealth as this one. We were on a steep hill, and we knew it. But my driving and unrelenting concern about guns in the hands of human beings is a general lack of emotional and moral maturity. I have witnessed again and again, and I expect you have too, a deep insecurity that has woven its way into the hearts and minds of our beloved fellow citizens. I offer these words from the great theologian and 20th century Christian preacher Howard Thurman, who wrote, and this is his language, I have not corrected it, "If a man feels that he does not belong in a way that is perfectly normal for other people to belong, then he develops a deep sense of insecurity. The awareness of being a child of God, however you define that, but the awareness of being a child of God tends to stabilize the ego and results in a new courage, a fearlessness, and power. I have seen it happen again and again." End quote. Howard Thurman's powerful words affirm that deep psychological sense of belonging that we all need to have. It supports our ego development, our sense of self-esteem and security. We can see the results of pervasive insecurity in the headlines that are heating up, with decreasing civility in school board meetings, state and federal halls of Congress, on TV and radio, grocery stores, neighborhood meetings, all indicating a heightened need to breathe and cool our emotions. It's being fed by the insistent social media storms. I think that insecurity is showing up in a false courage, a false anger, a false ego driven by fear and lostness. When we do not feel secure, when we do not feel included, when we do not feel accepted and loved, it is too easy to then buy a weapon, a gun, to turn to anger and embolden ourselves falsely to fill and ease our pain and emptiness with something we think will help us. When things get heated up in a country with too many guns, we end up shooting people at a baseball practice, in a grocery store, and synagogues. And a 6-year-old ends up shooting a teacher. A 6-year-old that should never have had access to a gun in the first place. That immaturity and that deep insecurity can lead to hate and uncontrolled anger. That lack of emotional maturity and that insecurity leads to lack of proper gun containment, poor or no gun training because people are in denial that they need it, denial of our own biases, and the fact that even with all sorts of training, we still have biases. We still have biases, and when you combine bias with a gun in the hand, it is deadly to our marginalized Black and brown fellow siblings. That low maturity leads to low education, includes poor impulse control, poor anger management, unrestrained fear, and heightened startle response, particularly when we kick into fight mode. That lack of security is a lack of maturity, a lack of education leads to total lack of acceptance that terrible, horrible accidents happen to any one of us or our children. And that every prevention for safety must be on everyone's mind. Based on my witness of low maturity and this pervasive insecurity, I believe there is a strong moral and ethical imperative for religious communities, for all faiths to be courageous and get and be and stay involved in the changing narrative around America's love affair with guns. The path is full of potholes, I know that. It is hard for religious institutions to stay engaged in this. Even the term reducing gun violence was something that we modified because people were hyping up that suddenly the National Guard was going to show up and start taking people's guns away from them, to start rifling through their unsecured safes and bedroom drawers and kitchen counters and taking their guns. It's a thought that has occurred to me now and then. But it's not going to happen. What is going to happen is we need to be more resistant. There is a good opportunity for us here in our community as we think about resistance, of how our voice, how our liberal religious compassion can help change the dialogue from individual rights to protection of the public. From individual rights to protection, my right to be protected in the grocery store or the schools or my church or in front of the YMCA. We know there's complex layers of economics and class and education and politics and power and a lot of money and feeling the need to control the narrative. You could easily give up. We're on the high moral ground. We truly are. And a lot of churches have. A lot of congregations, a lot of synagogues, a lot of mosques have given up. But too many lives are at stake, my friends. The complexities were laid out in a really good article back in 2012 by Fareed Zakaria, a journalist, and this was in the Washington Post. He's expertly named the multiple layers of complexities. He narrowed them down, and he said there are 3 areas of blame. 3 areas of blame for shootings. The psychology of the killer, the environment of violence in our culture, and access to our guns in our country. 3 areas. He compares the U.S. gun deaths to other countries to help set the situation and how bad it is in the United States. He argues that while we could and should do better for those with mental illness, I hope we're all aware that suicide by gun death is horrifically high. But mental illness, he says, does not explain the volume of deaths. He names the argument that it might be America's violent entertainment culture. But he looks at other countries that have violent movies and video games, and he says the data doesn't add up. He argues that tightening the laws is our best path. That tightening the laws is our best path. He says we lack courage to make the laws better. I agree. And I believe that in order to change the laws, though, the religious community needs to build a stronger coalition of voices, and we have largely lacked the courage to take this leadership. Never mind stay engaged in the conversation about how to help heal the wounds in our communities. At my Virginia congregation, we invited Lori Haas to speak at a Sunday worship. If you don't know about Lori Haas, I encourage you to Google her name. She had a daughter who was shot in 2007 at Virginia Tech. She was out shopping on that beautiful morning, ironically, with her minister, when her phone started ringing again and again and again, and an EMT told her that her daughter had been shot, but that she was doing okay, put her daughter on the phone to show her, and her daughter said, "Hi, Mom, I've been shot." I can't imagine how Lori Haas felt at that moment. The EMT came back on and said it was 2 bullets grazed the side of her head, and they were taking her in to the hospital, but she would probably be okay. Haas drove like a bat out of hell to get to her daughter, and she has not stopped. She has not stopped driving hard. Following that shooting, Haas shifted from being a quiet, stay-at-home mom to being a dedicated worker to reducing gun violence, volunteering for the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence, becoming director of the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence, and she served on the Virginia State Crime Commission. And she probably delivered 1,000 talks, just like the one she gave my congregation, and probably walked 1,000 miles in the halls lobbying state and federal legislators. Her emotional story and her personal courage has inspired me and thousands of other people to stay steady in the commitment to countering the many voices calling for individual rights for gun owners. Haas's call named 3 things: stay engaged with compassion, commitment, and courage. Stay engaged with compassion, commitment, and courage. That is how we change the national dialogue around gun laws, but it's also as religious institutions start to help healing, and so that people can start feeling radically included in the love that is here in this world. Above all, this national dialogue must be civil. don't you think? It must be civil, with kindness and a deep commitment to the vision of reducing gun violence. And that vision is a call to arms, is a call to arms of compassion, is a call to the arms of compassion, not violence. Certainly not guns. For religious communities to find and sustain courage, we need a theological grounding. As Unitarian Universalists, we have a solid foundation, a foundation that is hard to live by. We are Unitarian. In the 21st century, that means we are one. We are all one as human beings, as living creatures on this earth. We are all the same source of whatever creative evolution brought us here. We are here in a network of mutuality. That's an extraordinary theological statement to live by. We are universalists. Universalists, all souls are created sacred and worthy. All souls are created sacred and worthy. That's a powerful message that needs to be shared widely. That all souls are sacred and worthy. That is the balm that helps those who are feeling excluded and lost and don't know that they are worthy of love. Our theological foundation drives our actions, my beloved. Salvation in this life. Salvation in this life. This is what Unitarian Universalism means in the 21st century language. We don't have sacred text, unless you count Mary Oliver. We don't have a driving story about Abraham or Jesus or the Buddha or the Muhammad or the story of 1,000 gods and goddesses living through Atman Brahman of the Hindus. But we do have a simple and compelling commandment. We are bound to one another. We are bound to one another, and we are called to live a singular life with compassion and courage. It is only through mutual love and that shared value that we are in this together. That happens best in a house of worship. I truly, truly believe that. It happens best. We are called to be our best in a house of worship. So the invitation, my beloved, we can write letters. Absolutely. Harrisburg needs to get them, so does DC. We can make phone calls. We can go to Harrisburg tomorrow or DC if you want. We'll figure it out. We can support Mayor Gainey, who, if you didn't hear his very passionate talk at the Let Freedom Sing concert last weekend, it was extraordinary. He knows he needs citizen support in changing the culture of gun violence in Pittsburgh. There's many, many ideas. Here's just one. The board is going to love this. Hold a congregational meeting. Vote on being a gun-free zone. Put a sign out. Put lots of signs out. Put a PR packet out together. Declare to the city that we're a gun-free zone and why. Inspire other churches to do the same as we let the public know that religion is not a place for violence. It is not. Let the public know. Help support Ceasefire PA. Beth Foringer, thank you for your hard work. As we heard in the reading today, that reading that came from the Philippines, Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists all around the world believe that when I change, the world changes. I hope you believe that in your heart. I truly do. Amen and blessed be. You're going to be called to sing and do and dance and laugh in this hymn. 1024, when the Spirit says do, this is our way of being evangelical.
gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do, 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 Spirit says do. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing, oh Lord. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. Spirit says sing, 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 Spirit says sing. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance, oh Lord. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. Spirit says dance, 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 Spirit says dance. You gotta shout when the Spirit says laugh. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh, oh Lord. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. Spirit says laugh, 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 Spirit says laugh. You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you gotta shout, oh Lord. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says shout. Spirit says shout, 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 Spirit says shout. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do, 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 Spirit says do.
I invite you to bring your voices together. You can stay standing if you want. If you want, that's up to you. I invite you to bring your voices together as we extinguish our chalice. The words are found in our hearts, as well as the program. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we are in our hearts until we are together again. Go forth into this world, my beloved. Go forth into this world knowing that your voice matters. Your singing matters. Your laughter matters. Your dancing matters. Let us go forth with courage to change the story that it is the community that wants to stay safe. Return again with love. Blessed be.